1 in 4 people here in Germany have dental insurance. That means 18 million people have dental insurance. You might be wondering, why is it so popular? Well, the easy answer is that they know something most expats don't. And what they know is that public health insurance coverage, it's terrible. It's really not that good. As soon as you need major work done on your teeth, right? If you're thinking things like implants, root canals, tooth replacement, these kinds of, the stuff that costs 5 to 10K when you have multiple teeth going wrong. That's when your public health insurance company, like TK or DAC, or regardless of whichever one you're with, is going to come up and say, hey, by the way, sorry, but we're actually not offering any kind of good coverage levels for those treatments. But you still need those. Otherwise, your teeth are going to go rotten. So that's why people have dental insurance. But before you let me get started about all things dental insurance, hi, my name is Theo. I work at Feather. Feather is a digital insurance company. What we do is that we help people who have moved abroad make sure that they have their insurance in check, and we also help them understand how bureaucracy and admin works in a country that they're unfamiliar with. And that's exactly what we do on this channel. On this channel, we help you and other people who have moved abroad understand, what insurance do I need? How does this bureaucracy process work? What admin do I need to be aware of when I'm moving to this country abroad? That's the questions that we're trying to tackle here on the channel. In today's video, I'll tell you everything that you need to know about dental insurance, but also the role that public health insurance companies play in getting the best amount of coverage possible. I know I said public health insurance coverage is terrible, but there's some cases where you can make good use of the benefits that they offer so that you're ensuring you never have to pay too much out of pocket. Why is it that I think public health insurance coverage is terrible here in Germany? Well, beyond having very limited preventative care, meaning about 2 checkups per year, you also only get access to what's called standard care. I'm going to give you the German words, but for that, I need to look at my notes, which is Regelversorgung, something like this. At least that's what I'm trying to say. I will put it up on screen somewhere here. But what this standard care really means is that you only get access to the cheapest option available to you to treat your ailment. What does that mean? Let's take an example. Say you have treatment A, costs 1,000 euros, but it's going to deliver the best result, and it's going to make your teeth look beautiful. It's not going to be painful to get done, and that's really awesome. You want a 1,000 euro treatment A. But there's also treatment B that costs maybe 350 bucks. And it's going to be painful to get. It's going to look a little strange on your teeth. It's not going to be the same color when it gets done, but it's the cheapest option, and it's going to treat your ailment. In this case, dentists will tell you you're only eligible for treatment B with public health insurance. If you want treatment A, high quality, you have to pay out of pocket, or you have to have had a little bit of foresight and gotten dental insurance before you realized you needed dental work. This may have been a little bit cryptic. So treatment A, treatment B, what does that really mean? Where does that leave my implant? Well, specifically implants, you're looking at 3,000 euros at the total invoice. But your insurance is going to pay about 500 euros, depending on whether or not you're eligible for some bonuses that I'll talk about later in this video. But generally speaking, you're going to get 500 euros reimbursed. And then the 2,500 euros left, it comes out of your pocket, unless you have dental insurance. Yes, we know now. The other one is crowns. So if you want a ceramic crown, you're looking at 700 to maybe 1,500 euros, depending on where the tooth is being placed, or rather where a crown is being placed. Here, you're going to get 60 to 65% covered, but not from the 700 euro bill, right? You're going to get 60 to 75% covered on the cheapest cost-effective treatment, which means the metal crown. And the metal crown looks really mediocre, but it's going to be something like 300-400 euros to get it installed. So in practice, your crown, ceramic crown, is going to cost you 700 to 1,500 euros. And then insurance is going to reimburse maybe 250 bucks if you're lucky. The worst example of all is probably a root canal. So what happens when you need a root canal? The dentist needs to make an honest assessment as to whether or not he expects that your tooth is worth saving, i.e., what does that mean? Of course my tooth is worth saving, right? But in the medical sense, there's a lot of tooth that could be saved but are not worth saving because your mouth still functions perfectly fine without the tooth. And so in this case, the dentist just pulls it out, and that's what's being covered by your public health insurance. The pulling out of the tooth, not necessarily the root canal itself. So that's just another reason why I think public health insurance coverage for dental treatments in Germany is terrible, and I wouldn't advise anyone to rely on it only. Even though I work at an insurance company, I'm a little bit risk averse. I'm quite glad that there's 18 million Germans who agree with me, because when you pay, say, 40 euros a month, we'll get into the exact cost later. When you pay 40 euros a month for protection and ensuring that you get access to, best in class treatments and not, let me pull out your teeth because it's not worth saving. In my mind, it's definitely worth it, but you do you at the end of the day. With that said, let's take a look at what you get with dental insurance, which is also called in German, let me try, Zahnzusatzversicherung. That's my best attempt. I swear, I'm doing efforts on my German and will keep trying to improve it. So, supplemental dental insurance. It's only available to people on public health insurance because private health insurance patients typically have really good coverage, but that's a topic for another video. What you get is essentially 3 buckets of coverage plus orthodontics. So, the first bucket of coverage when it comes to dental insurance is preventative care. Preventative care are things that help you avoid issues in the future, and insurers love to give you a ton of bonuses on preventative care because after it means you're less likely to cost them a lot of money in the future. If you're taking care of all of the preventative benefits that you have access to, you significantly reduce the chances of experiencing a really expensive condition in the future, which is why insurers tend to give you the best benefits when it comes to preventative care. I guess what I'm really trying to say here is that this bucket of preventative care treatment is really the one that you want to pay attention to and make the best use out of. So, because what you get in there are things like professional dental cleanings, sensitivity treatments, and sealants. So those are the kinds of preventative care you are going to get access to. And my favorite here is the teeth cleaning, because the teeth cleaning allowance that you get every year is actually so big that a lot of the time, if you make use of it completely, say you get access to 2 dental cleanings a year, that costs about $100 without insurance. That means you already make use of 200 euros worth of coverage, and typically you're not going to pay a lot more than $200 on dental insurance. So that really makes it so that dental insurance is super affordable if you decide to make use of those dental cleanings. Plus, the other benefit of dental cleanings is that it catches issues super early. And so most of the time, if you do your dental cleanings twice a year, you're always going to catch those small cavities that can turn really bad and problematic in the future early enough that you're not left paying a huge bill and you can always remain within the limits of your dental insurance. That's my opinion on it. But again, it may depend on the terms and conditions of your policy. Generally speaking, if you're signing up with a decent provider, it should be the case. The second bucket of coverage that you get access to when you decide to sign up for dental insurance is all things treatment related. Sure, treatments, what does that mean? So in practice, that means things like root canals and, I have to read this word, I'm sorry, periodontal treatments are covered either in full or at a much higher amount than you would typically get on public health insurance. But I think what's particularly interesting on the treatment bucket of coverage is you get access to high quality fillings and materials. So on public health insurance, you get access to plastic for your front teeth, which I wouldn't advise anyone, or amalgam, which is this metal-ish color. What I'm really trying to say here is that the materials on public health insurance are not at all beautiful. They look quite fake. Whereas when you get dental insurance, you start to get access to the higher tiers of materials. So you can look at, for example, ceramic. And in these cases, it would look much more beautiful than you would typically get on public health insurance. On to bucket 3, which is all things tooth replacements. So things like implants, crowns, dentures, or bridges. That's the last one I was missing. I knew there was 4. So here it's the most worth it bucket because it's where you can have the most potential upside. You're looking at a bill for a single implant of like 3,000 euros. So if you need full molar replacements, you're easily at 20K. And at least I know I can't handle that bill if it comes through the door. Can you? You let me know. There's a very small chance, right, that you need this amount of tooth replacements. But if you're the guy or the gal or whatever that needs this kind of replacement, then it's definitely going to make dental insurance the most worth it investment decision of your life. Now that we've talked about the 3 key buckets of coverage for dental insurance, let's briefly talk about something that's really important to a lot of people, including families, which is orthodontics. what does dental insurance cover when it comes to orthodontics? And here, the exact coverage that you're going to have depends on how old you are. What does that mean? Typically, dental insurance will cover with some limits in the first few years, orthodontic treatment. For example, at Tether, we have a 2,000 euros per year orthodontic treatment for all treatments started before age 21. However, if you start your orthodontics treatment after you've turned 21, you're not going to get it covered by Feather's supplemental dental insurance. You might be able to find obscure policies, maybe not so well known, that cover your orthodontics treatment if you started past age 21. However, I just want you to be mindful that there's a good chance that either the rest of the coverage is a little bit worse in order to make up for that, expected cost, or you're going to be paying very high premiums, or finally, the last option is maybe you're going to get asked to sign a contract for multiple years just so that they can make sure that they're going to, in all likelihood, recuperate the money that they invest in orthodontics treatment. All right, let's talk a little bit about the price of good dental insurance policy. What you should be expecting to pay is around 9 euros per month, but all the way up to 40 euros per month. It really depends on the extent of the coverage that you want. A policy that costs 9 euros per month will typically allow you to get better reimbursement rates than with public health insurance, but will definitely not cover everything, and you'll still have to pay out of your own pocket. But if you go on the other extreme and you decide to get a policy that's closer to the 40 euros range, in this case, you can expect to get pretty much 100% reimbursement rates on the treatments that you decide to get done. There's a few variables that are going to impact the exact cost of your policy, those being one, your age. So people who are between 0 and 18 tend to pay a decent amount because they get that orthodontics coverage that I was mentioning earlier. Then once you turn 18 or turn 21, depending on the provider that you're with, some providers will accept to cover treatments that have started before you turned 18, some providers before you turn 21. It depends. But generally speaking, sort of 18 to 21 range is when you're going to have then the cheapest policies available to you. And as you grow older, the chances of tooth decay increases, and thus you'll have to pay a little bit more in your premiums. Also, if you're missing any teeth, you're going to have to pay a surcharge, quite a significant one, just because it's indicative of future issues are more likely to happen if you're already missing teeth than if you're not. And then finally, some plans and some providers will help you choose given coverage level for treatments. So anywhere between 70 to 100% reimbursement rates. So those are the factors that may impact the price of your policy. So one of the things that you have to know about dental insurance is Heil Kostenplan, which also means a treatment and cost plan, which if you don't know what it is, it's simply an estimate of the treatment that needs to get done on your teeth for them to get healthy again, and a cost associated with this treatment. This is really key, and you need to get one from your dentist every time you want to get major work done. Here's how it works, generally speaking. So you go to the dentist, they assess the state of your teeth and of your condition. They will determine what needs to get done in order to fix it and associate that treatment with a specific cost. Create the nice little document, Heil Kostenplan. Then what you need to do is take this document and submit it to both your public health insurance company and your supplemental dental insurance company. They will both then agree to reimburse a certain amount according to the terms of your contract. And then only then you've received confirmation from both the public health insurance and the dental health insurance company. You can start getting your treatment done with the confidence that you're going to get treated for to the full extent of what you might have expected in the first place. And that's because there's a clause in most contracts that you sign that you promise your dental insurance company that you're going to get a cost plan for every major treatment above 2,000 euros, and you're going to ask them for pre-approval before. That's just part of the game, and it's something you need to be aware of when you're signing up for dental insurance. Now there's something that if you haven't heard about it, you're going to be thrilled to hear, because you can get better reimbursements for dental treatment, even if you decide that dental insurance is not for you. And that's through what's called a bonus booklet. In German, it's Bonus schätzt, something like this. And what that really does is it gets you access to better reimbursement rates. So you go from 60% to 70% after 5 consecutive years of maintaining your bonus booklet. You maintain your bonus booklet by going to the dentist for checkups. And then after 10 years of consecutive checkups and making sure that you stamp your bonus booklet, you go from 70% reimbursement rates to 75% reimbursement rates. And so that's really free money if you ask me. You just have to bring a booklet or ask your dentist for one if it's your first time getting a checkup, and then you can start getting those stamps done and get better reimbursement rates than you would usually do on public health insurance. Now let's talk a little bit about some what ifs. So what if you have bad teeth or some pre-existing conditions? It's very much possible that your application is going to get declined by some insurance companies. You need to be aware of that, and you may need to submit your application to a few different companies. But in the case that your pre-existing conditions or, it's not so bad, your teeth, you could still get accepted under the condition that you pay a little bit more than the average person. So my advice is, please, as long as your teeth are healthy, get dental insurance. Get a cheap policy if you really don't want to be spending the money. I was mentioning you can get the most entry-level stuff for about €9 a month. And you'd be very glad that you got dental insurance before you need it, because if you decide to get dental insurance after you need it, well, there's no chance that the treatment at hand is going to get covered. Hence why I'm advising you, if you get the chance, if you can afford it, please think about it. With that said, if you're really, really struggling to find a dental insurance policy that fits your needs, you think that the surcharge because of your bad teeth is too much, or maybe your pre-existing conditions are so much that the insurance companies are refusing to cover you, go consult a broker. There's tons of brokers in Germany that speak English and that can help you find a policy that's going to fit your needs. Then, what if you need treatment right away? So there's a few things that you need to know about what if you need treatment right away. At Feather, we barely have any waiting periods, or you can get treatment done extremely quickly. Yet, most plans, or not Feather, might have waiting periods anywhere between 3 to 9 months before you get certain types of treatment done. That's not the type of policy I would advise you to purchase, but you might want to get it just because of costs or something like this. At the end of the day, you're the one buying the policy, not me. But with that said, waiting periods, I think, is something important to discuss, because the reason that waiting periods are in place is because insurers don't want people to fraud. They don't want people to go to the dentist, realize they need root canal done, and then get dental insurance. And so that's why there's waiting periods in place. And in some cases, if you buy a policy and it turns out that on the very same day you realize, I need to change 3 of my teeth. I need 3 new implants. There may be some questions asked from your insurer to try and determine, okay, did you really find out you needed 3 implants on the day, or is it something that you've known for a while and you're trying to get your costs covered this way? However, there is something that will always wipe, so to say, waiting periods, and that's if you're in an accident. If you're in an accident and you need major work done on your teeth, you're always going to get covered for that. All right, and that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Let's do a brief recap for the ones at the back not listening. Public health insurance coverage is good, but it's not good enough. Actually, not nearly good enough when it comes to expensive treatment like dental implants. That's where dental insurance comes in. Dental insurance is of tremendous value if you decide to make use of preventative care properly and get your regular dental checkups every year. Which, by the way, you should do your regular dental checkups every year because you get bonus bookshelf done. The bonus bookshelf gets you anywhere between 10 to 15% extra coverage, even if you don't have dental insurance. Okay, back to the dental insurance topic. You want to make use of preventative care? Go get your checkups done, and also your teeth cleaning. The teeth cleaning is what's being covered by dental insurance. The checkups are covered by public health insurance. But the teeth cleaning also help you avoid future issues. Though I'm not a dentist, I can't speak to how effective they are. I've read online, they're really good. Next thing, if you're looking for a policy, check out Feather, link in the description. In my mind, it's good value, but you should check it out. Check out the terms and conditions. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We speak English. We'll respond to you in English, and we would be glad to help you find a policy that suits your need, whether or not it's Feather's. All right, thanks. Ciao, ciao.